You're watching ABC 10 Plus this week.
Hello, I'm Jenny Ha, and you're watching ABC 10 this week. On 10 on Your Side, a local viewer says a scam left her with a nearly $700 cell phone bill before ABC 10's 10 on Your Side stepped in to help. Then, in dollars and cents, what a proposed 10% credit card rate cap could mean for your wallet. And finally, we hit the back roads. John Bartel takes us to Washington State to book a room inside a luxurious treehouse. ABC 10 this week starts now.
Proposition 50 was overwhelmingly passed by voters last year. It allows the state to temporarily redraw California's congressional districts in an effort to give Democrats more seats in the House. As always, thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. A district that will see some major changes is District 1. The late Congressman Doug LaMalfa had plans to still run for his seat until his sudden passing. Now, Assemblymember James Gallagher, a close friend and colleague of the late Congressman, says he wants to run.
There could never be another Doug LaMalfa, but I'm going to step up and try and provide that same type of excellent representation that he provided.
Assemblymember James Gallagher, who currently represents Assembly District 3, which includes areas like Chico, Placer, and Yuba County, is the latest candidate to run for Congressional District 1. He says his decision came after the late Congressman Doug LaMalfa unexpectedly died. Gallagher says his top priorities, if elected, would be
lowering the cost of living, the cost of energy, gas prices, electricity prices that are in large part there because of policy, that Democrats, quite frankly, have put into place.
Chris McKaylee, a Sacramento-based attorney and law professor, says due to the late congressman's death, the governor must call a special election for the seat.
Pursuant to the state constitution, the governor must immediately call a special election. In other words, a governor can't fill a House seat. Immediately is defined in the California Elections Code as 14 days. And so we will be coming up on that 14-day mark.
We reached out to the governor's office, who told ABC 10 they don't have any updates on when the special election would be held. McKaylee expects the special election would be during the already planned June primary, adding that voters in Congressional District 1 should be prepared for 2 elections on the ballot.
One race will be to fill the remainder of former Congressman LaMalfa's seat through January of 2027. And then the second race will be for a 2-year term that begins in January of 2027.
The remainder of Congressman LaMalfa's term will be under the current district maps. The new 2-year term will be under the newly drawn Prop 50 maps. Gallagher believes he's just the candidate to represent the area he calls home, even receiving support from other top Republicans like Congressman Kevin Kiley and the LaMalfa family.
I know a thing that was very important to them was that, that his legacy and the things that he were working on be completed. And so it's another reason that I wanted to step up and help accomplish that mission.
Another notable candidate who has also entered the race is Democratic Senator Mike McGuire. To learn more about who is in the race for District 1, you can head to our website over at abc10.com. All right, tonight the Trump administration says they will fight California's Proposition 50 after Republicans lost a legal challenge in court just yesterday. Attorney General Pam Bondi posted on X that the administration disagrees with yesterday's ruling in favor of California's redistricting map, saying it was drawn based on race, which is unconstitutional. She says they are reviewing all legal options. 2 judges and a 3-judge panel in Los Angeles sided with Governor Gavin Newsom and Democrats in the legal battle. Newsom and Democratic lawmakers argue the maps were drawn purely to give the party an advantage in response to Texas Republicans' new maps in that state. The state's financial situation is alarming. That's what California's nonpartisan legislative analyst office has to say about Governor Gavin Newsom's proposed state budget. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Bell, and this is not the first report like this. I do want to bring in ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen, who is here to explain what is at stake.
Alex, during the governor's budget proposal last week, it included a $2.9 billion shortfall. That is much less than what the LAO predicted. But the governor's office is standing firm on its optimistic proposal, even though Republican lawmakers are sounding the alarm to cut back on spending.
The governor is estimating that the state was facing a roughly $3 billion deficit. This is considerably smaller than the deficit that we estimated for the state back in November.
That estimate back in November was close to an $18 billion deficit the state would be facing.
The governor is estimating $42 billion higher revenues than was assumed in the Budget Act from June of 2025. Our office estimates that revenues are up, but only by about $11 billion.
Gabe Pettick with the Nonpartisan Legislative Analyst's Office says the governor's budget acknowledged potential risks to the stock market that could impact the budget, but did not take that into consideration when making this proposal. But the LEO did factor the risks, especially with innovations around AI.
We acknowledge there's probably a lot of long-term value in some of these innovations. But just like at the time that the internet was emerging in the late 1990s, the market can get ahead of things, and we see that happening right now.
Pettick acknowledges the state has very strong revenues, but also a lot of financial responsibilities, especially around education. But he warns the state needs to change its spending sooner than later.
The fiscal outlook is, as we say in our report, somewhat alarming. The state's fiscal situation is somewhat chronic at this point. This would be the fourth year in a row now that the state has faced deficits. The cumulative amount of deficit that the legislature has had to address in the last 4 years would sum to $125 billion.
Republican Senator Tony Strickland says the state has a spending problem.
Governor Newsom's like Peter Pan. He wants to govern by pixie dust, and he's in fantasy land.
Adding that the state needs to start budgeting on certain programs.
Healthcare for illegals coming here, $13 billion. That's a huge number. We need to get rid of that. We also need to do more oversight. I wish we had a more active state controller.
A spokesperson for the Department of Finance tells ABC10 that it respectfully disagrees with the LAO's predictions, adding that the governor's budget is built on modest, below-average revenue growth, and it includes $23 billion in combined reserves to protect against volatility. Now, budget talks are currently happening at the Capitol as the governor prepares for a revision to the proposal in May. The LAO warns Californians that if spending continues, the long-term impacts could include cuts that could impact state services. Alex.
All right, Jeannie, thank you for that.
Well, let's talk state matters now, where California is once again taking a stand against the Trump administration over federal immigration enforcement.
State Senator Scott Wiener is pushing a bill that would allow Californians to sue federal officials. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh is live in the studio to break down the legal implications. Jenny.
Well, legislators say when it comes to accountability for law enforcement, there's a years-long loophole. They say in light of ramped-up immigration enforcement, now is the time to amend that law.
We're here today because ICE and the Trump administration is trampling over the Constitution and needs to be held accountable.
That's why Senate Bill 747 is called the No Kings Act, says lead author Senator Scott Wiener.
If California can't stand up to Trump, then who can? And so California has a solemn responsibility to lead.
He says the legislation is to hold federal officials and agents more accountable in light of recent headlines regarding operations by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and U.S. Customs and Border Patrol.
We are not breaking radical new legal ground here. We are closing a loophole.
A legal loophole in Section 1983, supporters say, which is a federal civil rights law that lets citizens sue local or state officers for constitutional violations, but not federal officers.
If this were state or local officials, we would be in court right now. But because federal officials are excluded from Section 1983, something that this bill tries to remedy, we basically have many fewer options.
Anya Bidwell is with the Institute for Justice, the group representing George Redis, a U.S. citizen and veteran who was detained for 72 hours by ICE last July on his way to work.
They still trapped me in my car with tear gas. They still broke my window. They still pepper sprayed me. They still dragged me out of the car even though I wasn't resisting or anything.
Bidwell says Redis has not yet filed a complaint, as it would likely be dismissed under discretionary immunity under current law.
So I was free to go, and I just got to live with the experience that they put me through.
The reason ICE behaves in the way they do is because they know that it is extremely difficult to sue them.
Supporters say the easiest remedy would be for Congress to amend existing law, but until then, it's up to states. You're saying states have no right to regulate federal authorities.
Correct. We cannot have 50 different states deciding how they think we should be operating. The states do not have the authority to regulate federal agents, period. End of story.
I believe that this is going to feed a fire of anti-law enforcement that is unjustified.
And again, this would be for cases in California, and if passed, it would be retroactive to March 1st, 2025. I want to note the Senate Judiciary Committee just voted to advance this bill. It'll go to the Appropriations Committee next, and then if it passes there, on to the Senate floor. Chris, Laura.
Okay, Jenny, thank you.
In tonight's Dollars and Cents. With the new year here and those holiday spending bills coming due, now's the time to take a closer look at your credit cards. We continue to track efforts to protect consumers from the downfalls of debt, including a push in Congress to keep credit card interest rates in check.
I think it would set American consumers free.
U.S. consumer credit card debt is at an all-time high. It now stands at more than $1 trillion, according to the latest numbers from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. As we reported in a previous Dollars and Cents, some retailers are charging more than 35% interest on their credit cards.
The challenge of getting out of debt that tends to snowball under those rates becomes overwhelming, and a lot of folks get lost and demoralized and feel like they can't get out of it. And it's no surprise, because at those rates, those interest fees will stack up very fast.
That's why there's been a bipartisan push in Congress, led by Democrat Senator Bernie Sanders and Republican Senator Josh Hawley, to cap credit card interest rates at 10%.
Where does that stand now? Until that movement happens in Congress, we're not going to see a rate cap. But I think what is promising is the desire is there.
So far, Senate Bill 381, the 10% Credit Card Interest Rate Cap Act, hasn't passed. But in the meantime, to keep your credit cards in check, Paley recommends looking closely at your credit card agreement and know the interest rate you committed to.
Remember, taking the time to sort out needs and wants, and taking the time to really get clear on your current rate, and maybe doing some math to say, okay, if I purchase this and if I don't pay it all off, what is the interest going to look like over time? How is this going to affect me?
And just last week, President Trump announced on social media he wants to put a limit on credit card interest rates. In a True Social post Friday, the president said the American public is being, quote, ripped off, and called for a one-year cap on credit card interest rates at 10%. Remember, your money questions have answers. Email me at lpainter@abc10.com and stream more of our Dollars and Cents coverage on the free ABC10 app.
10 on Your Side is getting results for a local viewer who says she was hit with a nearly $700 cell phone bill after falling victim to a scam. She turned to ABC10 to help get their issue resolved. Take a look.
I'm so grateful to you guys for stepping in, because my phone bill had doubled. It went up from $340 to over almost $700.
Angela Levy emailed 10 on Your Side saying, I'm writing because I need your help. I was a victim of fraud from someone pretending to be an AT&T rep. She was surprised by the things they knew about her.
My name, my address, the last 4 digits of my credit card number, which is on file with AT&T. He knew how many phone lines I had on my account. He knew how many watches I had on my account, all those things.
She ended up being charged for 2 additional iPhone 17s that went to the thief at her monthly expense.
And I've been dealing with this since October. This started October the 7th. And I've been trying to get this rectified.
Yes, after months of calling and emailing AT&T with no results, she decided to contact 10 on Your Side.
Email Channel 10 on your side and see if they'll help you. And you guys came through for me. So thank you so much. I'm so, okay. I'm not going to cry.
AT&T sent me this statement saying, we've worked with this customer. We take the security of customer accounts very seriously and have processes in place to ensure that any changes to accounts are authorized by the primary account holders. Customers should remain vigilant, never share account information, nor authorize people they don't know to access their accounts. Also, we will never call and ask a customer for their one-time security PIN. 10 on Your Side, getting results in a matter of days.
I think I talked to you guys like on Friday. By Monday, the issue was resolved.
And 10 on Your Side is here to help. Do you have a problem and don't know where else to turn? Email me at onyourside@abc10.com.
Out to a businessman and event coordinator known for giving back to the community. For the past 8 weeks, he's been a survivor in recovery.
Tonight, with his health improving, we're talking directly to the community leader and owner of the Stockton 99 Speedway. ABC 10's Gabriel Porras has more on his recovery.
In 66 years of life, Tony Nassetti has never thought the way he does today.
When you're laying on your deathbed, things kind of change the way you're thinking.
In an instant, everything changed.
They had to bring the jaws of life to cut us out.
On the dark asphalt of a foggy stretch of Highway 88.
I couldn't hardly breathe.
Just west of the San Joaquin County line.
November 23rd, we went up to Ione to have a little dinner at the casino, and coming home, my wife was driving, and somebody decided they wanted to pass, and we met a new friend the hard way, head on. And my wife hit the steering wheel, and she was tucked underneath in the pedal compartment, and I was down by the glove box. I felt like I left this face of this earth 2 or 3 times when they were working on me on the side of the road.
But on that same dark road where his life nearly ended, Tony's new journey,
it's been an uphill battle,
began.
Experience I've never had before. I had over 30 broken bones. My wife was 10 days in ICU. I was 11 days in ICU. It's a life-changing experience.
How are you doing today? How are you feeling?
I'm doing great. Sun's shining every day. It's getting better and better. I'll tell you something, you never realize all the little basic things that you do until you're in a position that you cannot do it no more.
And those little things are the life Tony built. For decades, running the Stockton 99 Speedway, working his farm, giving to local charities. And now, from a wheelchair, he's already planning his 40th annual Asparagus Festival.
40 years of asparagus coming up, 77 years of Stockton 99 Speedway, plus what else we do. We're very excited. It's going to be a great year.
For Tony, so much has changed.
You know, appreciating what we have. That's the biggest thing.
But some things are the same.
We're all about getting the job done and keeping the community going. So that's what we've been doing. Staying busy.
In Stockton, Gabriel Porras, ABC 10.
So good to see a smile on his face and to see him on the road to recovery. We were really concerned about him for a while there.
Yeah, that is true. That positive energy that he's exuding, the sunshine, the appreciation, that wonderful smile. It is great to see. Sir, we are so glad to hear that you're doing okay.
And we should tell you, Tony mentioned to make sure that we tell you that the annual Asparagus Festival is coming to the San Joaquin County Fairgrounds. He's planning to have that in April.
We can't wait.
Finally, to some happy news tonight, and our champions of hope, we are heading out to band practice, where music is really helping people explore new things, build confidence, and find joy together.
The Early Birds Band
I'm begging of you, please don't take my
has been playing in Sacramento going on 20 years.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun for me because I get to be social, and I'm a very social butterfly. And I get to learn my favorite instrument, which is the guitar.
Emily Lucero has been a member for about 3 years now. We got the chance to crash a band practice and listen to them play some of their favorite songs, like
a lot of people don't really see, unless they play an instrument, that there's a lot of there's a lot of coordination, there's a lot of memory, there's a lot of timing and pitch, and some of those things are really hard to comprehend. There's like so many layers to that already. For someone who has no developmental disabilities.
Dakota Medina, the band's music instructor, says in this studio, every practice is about more than hitting the right notes.
I'm so proud of everyone in here for trying so hard.
The Early Birds music program operates through Southside Unlimited, a nonprofit that emphasizes individual empowerment. The band practices twice a week. Many of the students we met during practice were still auditioning to join the band.
They have to learn 3 songs, and they have to be able to play them along with a metronome or drum to show that they can play on rhythm. They have to be able to play the notes correctly.
Other qualities they're looking for: good stage presence, keeping rhythm, and being responsible. Important qualities for when they take their show on the road. Annie, a member for 16 years, told us,
in the band we perform at like different venues like restaurant and library and state capitol.
With the Early Birds, they run their band. They set up their gear at their shows. They're their own roadies. They have lots of responsibilities like managing their finances. I might help them learn the notes, but it's all their show.
Teacher is absolutely phenomenal. I feel like he has taught me so many chords and it is so cool. He said I was lightning fast at it, and that really boosted my confidence up.
And while the students are learning rhythm, chords, and notes, Dakota says he's learning something too.
I feel like working this job has helped me to understand communication on a different level. Just understanding humans better. It's always like a lie how much comprehension there is. You know, so everybody, you know, fakes how much they understand. So I'm able to like use certain techniques to understand like how much I've gotten through and how much people have gotten through to me, and just communication is better for everybody. Slow down a little bit and then it goes up on the melody. So, and everyone in this room seriously impresses me every day. Sometimes, you know, someone has a bad day and everyone helps them get back on track. Like this space and this studio, there's so much respect here.
It's a space built on patience, respect, and encouragement. The result is more than performance, it's community.
And fun. If you couldn't tell, we had a lot of fun during this shoot. Thank you so much for letting us crash band practice. And I do want to mention you can find the Early Birds on YouTube as well as TikTok. They have a TikTok, and also Southside offers music lessons, recording studio rentals, and workshops to the public if you do want to check them out.
Chances are your childhood treehouse was not as elegant or ornate as the one that overlooks the raging river in Washington. It also probably didn't have plumbing. These are the high-flying rooms at Treehouse Point in Fall City.
How high are we up here?
From the bottom of the 4th floor to the top, it's 200 feet.
If you're looking to conquer your fear of heights, General Manager Abby Rodriguez says this is probably the most comfortable place to do it.
I mean, absolutely, because why wouldn't you want to conquer your fears where you know you're going to be also in a very, very comfortable bed at night?
There are 7 tree houses and 3 ground units at Treehouse Point, and there's 2 ways to see them. Book a room or book a walking tour. Who knows? You might even bunk up next to a celebrity.
We actually had Brian McKnight here a couple months ago. We've had Macklemore here. We've had, some of them have been a little bit more incognito that I can't tell you about.
I'm Pete Nelson, the Treehouse Man.
One celebrity I unfortunately didn't run into was TV host Pete Nelson and lead builder at Treehouse Point.
It was called Treehouse Masters. It was on Animal Planet for 11 seasons. It was not just Pete, it was his whole family. So you got to see Judy, you got to see the boys, Henry and Charlie, and Emily.
Pete Nelson's been building tree houses since he was a kid, and his family opened up Treehouse Point in 2006 as a way to expose more people to life in the trees.
We've gotten further and further away from the natural order, and so sleeping in a treehouse brings you back to that balance. And we are pretty unplugged here. We have Wi-Fi available in the lodges, but in most of the tree houses, there's no Wi-Fi.
Each treehouse here is different. Some have a more classic look, while others, like the Ananda House, are full of amenities and accessible to everyone.
And inside, it is incredibly luxurious and spacious because it is the first ever ADA compliant treehouse in Washington State.
Abby says a growing clientele at Treehouse Point are lovers looking to elope or have a unique wedding.
And one wedding in particular stood out to us, Marta and John. They had a Legend of Zelda theme wedding, and they cut their cake with the sword from Legend of Zelda.
Whether you're trying to conquer your fear of heights or rekindle those childhood treehouse memories, this is a great place to experience nature and admire the fine treehouse craftsmanship.
From Treehouse Point in Fall City, Washington, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
A new movie,
out on Netflix this morning has big stars like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, but also some Sacramento filmmakers are doing some major behind-the-scenes work, and we have Marcus Allen here in studio to tell us all about it. Mark?
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit biased. The movie is called The Rip. It's on Netflix. It is a great crime drama. The reason I'm a little bit biased is because it's written and directed by my good friend, one of my dearest friends, and my former segment editor, Joe Carnahan, also from Sacramento, and then Kevin Hale, who used to be an editor-manager here at ABC10, is the editor of this movie. So yeah, I'm a little bit biased. To show you who Joe is, take a look at a picture he was taking last night at the premiere. Ted Sarandos, CEO of Netflix, is taking his selfie, but then Joe wrangles in Ben and Matt to crash his party. Now let's talk about the movie. It is phenomenal. It's a cop drama. The RIP is a law enforcement slang term for anything that's compensated. We got a RIP, meaning maybe it's money, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's weapons. That's the RIP in this case. It's a whodunit. It's awesome. I caught up with Joe to talk about it, but I got to be honest with you. Anytime he and I work together or in the same room together, we're usually just making fun of each other and laughing, and you got a little more than that when I talk to him. Take a look.
Hey, good to see you.
I did the Madonna blonde. Look at that, dude, right? I just went for it.
That looks great. I tried to do that, but I look like Annie Lennox.
There's nothing wrong. By the way, dude, if you had that beautiful singing voice, nobody care, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God.
All right, we got to talk about this movie, I guess. First of all, congratulations. You know that I lean into all of these interviews somewhat sycophantic because I love movies. However, with that said, and despite the fact that we're friends and I'm obligated to tell you this, I mean this wholeheartedly. This is a career best for you, for our friend Kevin Hale, for Matt, for Ben. Congrats,
Thanks,
dude.
buddy. Thanks, brother. No, listen, dude. Mark, you know this. Like, I mean, dude, you were in my first movie. Like, that's how, you know, so it's like when you get a moment like this, and listen, let's hope it does well in the service. Let's hope, you know, Netflix is happy with the results. But listen, brother, in terms of just the movie itself, I'm thrilled. I agree with you. I think it is my best.
Netflix right now, great reason. If you don't have Netflix, we're talking about the bundle wars. Subscribe to Netflix for a minute, watch this, then unsubscribe. Back to you.
Mark, I need to know, what was that first movie about?
It was called Blood, Guts, Bullets, and Octane. I think he made it for all of like $5,000. Now he's making $50 million movies.
And what role did you play in that?
I was FBI agent number 1. You want to hear my line from the movie?
Yes.
We found the head. Thank you very much.
Oh my God, I love that. I need to go back. You need to tell me where to watch that one, Mark.
That was me dumpster diving to try to find a body.
Oh my God, I need to watch that.
It's a musical.
Thanks for watching ABC 10 this week. We're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 TV streaming app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Jenny Ha. Take care, and I'll see you next time.